Previously on Legends of Aelos, we return just after the purification of the afflicted, the five now whole once more, even if Corun and Dominicus are a bit worse for wear for their experience. Knowing that the time is drawing nigh for dealing with Mr. Silence and his plot, Rowan requests of Amansar his expertise with enhancing the gems in his possession, to which Amansar alchemically binds the two fire-imbued crystals into a larger, more potent one. Asher gestures to Corun as well to gather the corrupted crystal from Calliope, which Corun only just barely remembers happening to have tossed away during his delirious states of infection. He picks it up with the glove from Calendra and puts it away. The group discuss, and taking into consideration the sabotage that Arel was able to perform earlier with Silence's brood spirits, alongside the most recent events that had transpired at the makeshift gallows at the Bridge Gatehouse, Corun proposes that the group leverage a psychological approach in their plan of attack. Asher agrees, and he casts aloft a message into the sky stating how Silence is nothing but a heretically blasphemous murderer. Corun is planned to go with Arel to find a discreet and lofty perch from which he can observe and employ a new telepathic ability he has developed, and Asher will deliver Rowan directly to Silence himself, as Briar and Dom provide support utilizing their respective specialties. Before leaving Amansar's for the fight though, Corun and Dom procure a pick-me-up from Amansar to relieve them from their exhaustion, even if temporarily. It will be long enough still for them to put an end to Silence's schemes. The group dispatches, and they are able to make their way to each member's respective staging points, Arel assisting Corun in reaching a rooftop overlooking the platform Mr. Silence is stood upon. As Peter Silence addresses the crowd gathered in his attempts to bolster his position despite the most recent sabotage, Rowan makes the main group's presence known. The majority of those gathered part ways for Rowan as he starts to slowly approach, sat upon a transformed Asher as he stalks slowly towards Silence. Rowan counters Silence's proclamations, reminding the crowd of the selfish and vile transgressions that he has committed only for his own manufactured prophetical vision. Though Corun was unable to garner any deep secrets without potentially revealing himself, he is able to harass Mr. Silence with mental messages, to which he reacts both visibly and audibly, further degrading the credibility of his vision as well as his sanity. As Rowan and Asher progress ever closer, however, it appears that there are still those who would stand with Silence. Briar attempts to madden one of the more prominent-looking followers, but unfortunately they are able to resist. Still, the plan continues as intended, and Asher lunges towards the platform, passing the attacking guards, and despite taking a blow, he successfully deposits himself and Rowan, so that both now stand toe-to-toe with the mad Peter Silence. The few guards that attacked stand ready to defend Silence, but there are many others that seem unsure or no longer willing as the fight for Lake Grasp begins. Though many could question Peter Silence's claim to sovereignty, few would argue his prowess in combat as he deftly swings his mace around, proving himself to be a powerful opponent. But Rowan and Asher prove that they too are capable, as Silence is now shown what truly makes the measure of a man. Despite all the preparation to enact his plot and the setbacks the party was afflicted with, the orchestrated plan of the five stands firmly against Mr. Silence and his machinations, while Briar, Dom, and Arel systemically drop the few supporters of Silence. Corun bolsters the vitality of Rowan against the crashing blows of the mace. Just as Asher and Rowan cast Peter from the platform and the last of his lackeys fall, the once closed portcullis of the gatehouse now comes to rest open, as Dom pins a defeated Silence under his boot. Aiden Asterion marches through the gate towards him with Order Legionnaires in rank and file. The beaten and infuriated Silence almost pleadingly challenges anyone to end him. But the five, as well as the Order, have other plans, for he has use still in garnering information about what has happened and how to prevent it from occurring elsewhere. Peter Silence will be punished, but not on his own terms. With Mr. Silence now captive, Rowan and Aiden each update the others' respective parties. Rowan informs that Amansar had discovered a true cure, and they have collectively brewed a substantial amount, while the Order has conveniently been corralling and containing the infected masses as best they can. This should better facilitate administering the cure to the populace. Once the parties have returned to Amansar's apothecary, they see what the continued efforts of Amansar have produced. Aiden instructs his men to start creating and dispatching the cures to infected groups, and Rowan instructs that Amansar is the one to ultimately get the most thanks, for it was he that discovered and created the cure, and he should receive all considerations for his efforts. After the five part ways from Aiden and his Order, as well as Amansar, the group returns to the Sleeping Moon. With the blight of Lake Grasp now in its ending moments, the party is looking forward to some proper rest and respite, and Karan is eager to speak with a few individuals that are still currently being kept snugly at the tavern, compliments of Siora. Upon their return, and after the barricades to the front door had been stripped away, everyone is now gathered in the main room of the Sleeping Moon. Asher definitively conveys to Coria the vision that he held, foretelling of he and his wife's conception, much to her elation. And after that small celebration, and a few not-so-idle threats from Coria regarding her husband's future safety, Karan and the group now turn to the three captive Naramin, still bound and gagged. Karan is drained and unable to do any direct mental probing, but he recognizes these people and opts to inquire, relying on his deductive skills to feel out their disposition and intent. Fortunately, he detects no hostile motives towards either his companions, himself, or even Zagya. In fact, Vildriel, the farrier instructor, and Corindel, Karan's surfacing sister, convey a similar disposition to what Karan has been developing. They, too, have noticed the dark entity, and they had been seeking out those whom have fled so as to make sure they are kept safe and attempt to free them from the corrupted influence of their phylacteries. Karan inspects their phylacteries as he removes them and observes that they appear to have been almost completely purged. But he does take note that something still lingers, unlike in his own purified crystal. The group ultimately feels that the three Naramin, including the youngest, Imlus, can be trusted to treat them with a bit more hospitality than ropes and gags. However, Karan still wishes to investigate more, to probe into Vildriel's mind and verify, hopefully without resistance, all that Vildriel knows, so as to be absolutely sure there is no ploy at hand. For now, though, the parties must eat and rest. The Naramin guests are put into a room without a balcony, and before the house collectively sets to bed, Briar casts an alarm on their room, so as to make sure that the night goes without any event. Though this night of silence still ends in silence, the quiet that is had is peaceful. And it is from here we shall continue the story of the Legends of Aelos.